So, good evening to everyone. And today we are going to talk about the critical reasoning aspect of the verbal section. Now, there are two words when we talk about critical reasoning. The one word is critical. Okay. So, I just need your understanding of what do you mean by critical. Does critical mean criticism of yours, or critical means anything else? Who is a good critic? Carefully, very good. So I would like everyone to interact. Okay, unless you are interacting, you wouldn't be able to understand most of the things. आप interact करिए, you would be much more better in understanding what is happening around you. Okay, see, critical basically means you are looking at a thing with a very good analysis, very good judgment. As one student has written even. So when we say critical means you are looking at a thing very thoroughly, very in a detailed manner, and you are coming out with what are the judgments you're making, what are the decisions you're making. So critical, when we say, it means very detailed, very careful analysis. Okay, that makes sense to you? Does it make sense? Okay. So people are still entering into the class. So try to be punctual in the sessions. Okay. You would be missing things and you wouldn't be able to understand. Now the next word which we talk about is a reasoning part. What do you mean by reasoning? Should I start? Reasoning, when we talk about, is associated with anything, any decisions we are taking or any thing we are doing using, yes, one of the word very Ashna is used, logic. Very good word. So decisions based on logic. Anything else? A careful analysis, we can say. And we can even say the decisions which is based upon a detailing of a thing. What is detailing? We always say, no, the devil lies in the details. What does it mean? Yes, good. So detailing basically means when you're looking at a thing very thoroughly and precise information. Very good. So, but then also, let me talk about what exactly when we talk about the critical reasoning aspect. Why I'm talking about critical reasoning? Why I want you to know what is critical reasoning. Until unless you are knowing what exactly we are doing, what is the objective of all this class, you wouldn't be able to understand what exactly the methodologies to be used, what exactly we have to do in the questions. If you know the objective, it will become very easy for you to handle the arguments and the passages. As one of the person said paragraphs, we will call it passages. People are still in the class, okay? Achha, now, when we talk about the critical reasoning aspect of the class, there are some things which you have to always keep in mind. Some things very basic, but that will change the whole direction of this class, okay? This is not an reading comprehension type of session. I will just try to make you understand the critical reasoning aspect of it. Right now, any test you talk about, whether it is CAT, GMAT, or any other test, what we see is a critical reasoning taking a majority of the questions. And why does it take the majority of the questions? It's difficult to understand and comprehend and deliver. And what exactly happens in that case is most of the people are able to do the main idea and everything, which is very direct from the passages, but the critical reasoning aspect of it, which carries your percentile above 90 or 95 percentile, are usually the CR questions, which are part of the R6. Now, the first very important thing why I am talking about this basics is you will know what direction we are going. If you know what are the directions we are going, you would be able to come out with solutions very easily. First point, it is not a language test. We are not testing your language. So what exactly we are checking? We are checking your IQ part. So when I say I'm not checking your language, what are the parts of language? The one very important part is the reading aspect. The IQ test doesn't check your reading. Okay? They are not even checking your literature part. If you know all the English medieval or ancient or anything or Roman or anything, it will not help you in any way. Okay. So the third aspect of a language is, any please contribute. Very good. Grammar. तो बताइए सर जी, ग्रामर को चेक करते हैं क्या? करेक्ट. ये कुछ भी चेक नहीं करते हैं. नो वन चेक्स रीडिंग. So IQ test even will not check your vocabulary. Why do I say that? Very good, Mohit. So even that doesn't check your vocabulary. Now the question is, अगर vocabulary check नहीं करते हैं तो हम vocabulary पढ़ते क्यों? Do you think this is a right question? If the IQ tests are not checking the vocabulary, then why everyone says vocabulary? Read vocabulary, you must be good in vocabulary. Anyone can pitch in? There are so many students, I want people to pitch in. Whatever your ideas are. क्या रीजन हो सकता है कि लोग कहते हैं? Sujal, what does VARC means? What does it means? I'm not able to understand the point. Okay, let me put the point. Whenever we are talking about, okay, what does Yash, to understand the sentence, I asked not to get the sense of the words being used. No. See, when I say vocabulary, people will not struggle with easy English. Okay. If you are reading Chetan Bhagat 5.7, I don't think you will struggle with it. It's common English. But in vocabulary, where exactly the people will stumble? वो कौन सा part? Let's say difficult words. Let's say the एक word है X, Y, Z, and T. What does it mean? It means nothing, okay? Now, it can be used in any paragraph and any argument. Now, third thing is where we say scientific word. Yeah, what we call jargon, science jargon. Okay? I meant to say the important, let's say, the things which you may not, let's say theory of relativity I'm talking about. Now, an art student will not understand what is theory of relativity. Very good. Technical words. Yes, correct. I was actually not getting the right word. Okay, technical words. Now, when we talk about now coming to this scenario, let's say you're giving a word X, Y, Z, and T, which no one understands. And there are so many students in this class, no one understands, even I don't understand. It will always, an IQ test will give a context to understand. So it will always have a, what we call it as contextual meaning. So I don't need to memorize this word. Making sense? Now, second thing is IQ test even uses technical words or the jargons, and IQ tests providers or makers always have an understanding that whenever they are using jargons, whenever they are using any technical word, they will always provide the definition of it. It will always be there. If it is not there, अभी भी कोई आ रहा है. हाँ, तो अगर IQ टेस्ट में एक टेक्निकल जार्गन यूज्ड है और अगर डेफिनेशन नहीं है तो आप उस पर केस कर सकते हैं. You understand my point? So whenever in a IQ test maker will do, if they are using a difficult word which is not used in the common English, they will always give a contextual meaning of it. And if they are using the technical word, they are always give the definition of it. It's a rule. Making sense till now? Okay. Any questions? पूछो क्वेश्चन पूछा करो। इवनिंग के जितने सेशंस होते हैं 9 o'clock वाले सेशंस, उसमें मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल तो अपना डिनर कर रहे होते हैं। Yeah, people are able to understand till now. So then I just need to know why people always say use, आपको इतना कंसंट्रेट करना है vocabulary में and all. Why people say that? Ayush, were you late in the class? Can you quickly show which components? Okay. वन नोट का एक प्रॉब्लम क्या है, इसका जो अगर फुल स्क्रीन मैं शेयर करता हूं तो इसका जो कर्सर है वो गायब हो जाता है। I was just talking about the language part, which you need to concentrate on. Why I am giving this perspective? If this perspective is clear to you, you will know what to answer. What exactly to look in the argument. People are not looking at English majors or any PhD in English. They are using English as a language only. So, एक चीज को हमेशा याद रखना है। Yes. एक चीज को हमेशा याद रखना है कि इंग्लिश एक लैंग्वेज है। हर IQ टेस्ट दो चीजें चेक, वो लैंग्वेज यूज करता है। सबसे यूनिवर्सल लैंग्वेज कौन सी है? विच इज द मोस्ट यूनिवर्सल लैंग्वेज? एंड सेकंड, what is the most universal language? And that's why it's called verbal and this is called quantum. Why they are not calling it maths? Why they are not calling it English? Because it is not English and it is not even maths. Okay, making sense to everyone? Okay, now moving forward. Now, whenever you're talking about the CR part, what you will also see in CR is there will be many components which they will include. One mister is still right now coming in the class. Achha, this 7 series is not a very, I think it's not a very obedient section for a class. Okay. Achha, now, what is the next thing we should be looking at? Whenever in the CR, you will hear some things very often. The words which you will hear is, one is a argument. You will also see facts. You will also hear assumption. Very good. Premises. Yeah, everyone contribute. और क्या सुनते हैं आप? CR में और आपको क्या सुनाई देता है? Conclusion. एक और चीज सुनाई देता है. One more thing which you will always hear is the inference part. Am I missing anything? Argument हो गया, assumption हो गया, premises हो गया, conclusion हो गया, inference हो गया. Okay. Yeah. Now let me talk about the first point. What is an argument? I am having an argument. What does it mean? It means I'm having a fight. I am having some discussion with someone. But in here, for the IQ test, when we talk about argument, argument basically means it will be having some assumptions. No, not contradicting. Ashna, contradicting view is called as, what it is called as? You are all from colleges, okay? It's called, very good, paradox. Very good. It's called paradox. Okay, now tell me one thing. In debating, there is a one thing called oxymoron. Have you heard of it? There must be many competitions happening in the colleges. Oxymoron, where you have given a topic and you have to use both in the favor as well as in the, you have to speak against it. So that we call it as oxymoron. Same kind of thing happens in paradox. Argument. Now coming back to the argument, argument would be having all kind of components in it. it would be having premises, maybe an assumption, it will be making a conclusion out of it. So these all facts will make an argument. So whenever you would be dealing with the CR part, CR, critical reasoning question, there will be two kind of questions. One would be argument based, and one would even be fact based. There can be a passage which is only facts. Let's say I'm talking about population of Uttar Pradesh is this, Maharashtra is this, Tamil Nadu is this, France is this, literacy is this. It can even have a kind of a passage which may only have facts or a premises. So that's not called argument in a way. Okay, making sense? Okay. Acha, now what are the type of questions you would be acha, now pehle to I will just talk about the components of it first of all. We were talking about the argument. I told you. What is an assumption? Assumption is anything which is unstated fact. So can I call an assumption as an unstated premise? Can I call assumption as an unstated premise? Can I? Very good. Yes. What is a premise? Premise is a fact, the truth. It doesn't mean the truth which belongs in the common world, but it means a truth which is the truth for that CR. It might be a false statement in the real world, but when you talk about the premise in the CR, it means the truth in the CR world. Evidence, very good. Now the next part is the conclusion part. Conclusion is what exactly the author is reaching to. So can assumption be called as an imagination? Very good. Who's asking? Sushmita. Very good question. It can be called a belief. It can be called an imagination, but it will always be taken as a truth. That's a true fact. The point what I'm trying to say is it can be an assumption. It can be your belief. It can be your, why I'll call it imagination. Let's say I will call it your dream, but that will act as an premise. Premise means which is sacrosanct. What is a sacrosanct? What is the word sacrosanct means? It's a common English. Okay. Achha, now it means it cannot be challenged. So that means conclusion. Achha, now one thing that we very good. Holy is the right word. One more thing is a inference. Inference is what we infer. In common language, what does inference? Very good. Educated guess. Yes, good point. This very good participation in the class. So I would like everyone to participate. अगर आप पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे तो सीखेंगे, अगर नहीं करेंगे तो आप खाना खाइए आराम से, और फिर आप सारी उम्र CRE सेशन कर रहे होंगे. अच्छा, that was part of the job. Okay. Now the inference part. Now what is the difference between inference and a conclusion? Inference means basically inference is always of a reader and conclusion is of a writer. Let me rephrase the whole thing. Conclusion usually is of the author and inference is yours. I'll give an example to you. Let's say you see a person, Sujal says inference what we think, conclusion what author thinks. Very good. She has made into better words. Yes, conclusion covers the main idea. Good. Let me put an example to you. I'll ask one example from every one of you. So many people in the class, so I will ask an example from everyone. So let's say Sushmita was going on. Sushmita Nidhi is going somewhere, and she sees a person lying in a gutter. Sushmita Nidhi was passing through a street and she sees someone lying in a gutter. Now, Sushmita decides not to help the person lying in the gutter. But let's say Sujal decides to help him. So what is the assumption here? Let's say of Sushmita, and what is the inference? I'll put the situation once more to you. Let's say there's a person who is lying in a gutter, and the person who is passing through the street decides not to help the person lying in the gutter. So what is the assumption that person has made, and what is the inference that person has made? Okay, good. Inference is no, she's not helpful, and the other person is no. Let me, I think you still, many of the people are still not. Yes, one, Ashna has given the right point. Okay, yes. So many people are understanding, many people are not even. 80% people are answering it wrong. So let me answer you. The inference is the decision of mine. What is the inference? I am not going to help the person lying in the gutter. So that's my inference. And what was the assumption? Assumption was that if there is a person who is lying in a gutter, that person doesn't need help, or even he doesn't deserve help. Maybe peaker wo gir gaya. Yeah, in a way we can say he might be a drunkard, or that's the reason I'm not going to help him. But one person decides to help. So now the assumption changes. And even the inference. Inference is I have decided to help the person lying in the gutter, and my assumption is any person who is lying in the gutter needs help, so I would be using it. So assumption is always an premise. It will take the role of a premise. Yes, that's true. यही होना चाहिए, यही fact है. Making sense till now? Okay. Good. Okay. Now everyone is clear about these parts. So what's the Hardik is asking me? So what's the assumption and inference in the X? EX क्या मतलब हुआ? Example, okay. I give both the examples now. In one person decides to help the person in the gutter, and one person doesn't help the person. So if you are helping him, then you are the inferring that the person needs help. And what Yash is writing, assumption is right, but inference is one choice. Achha, let me put it one more example to you. One more example, okay? I would like examples from you even, but then also I will put one more example. My friend is not, he doesn't studies. He doesn't studies. So he's not even good in class, and he doesn't never studies even. So I'll not help him. So what my inference is, I'll not help him. What is the assumption? No, that's not the assumption. Ashna, you're wrong. Assumption is based upon your inference. No, inference is I have decided not to help him. So what is my assumption? Assumption is yes, she is right. Assumption is yes, he doesn't deserve help, or any person who is not working or who is not doing any studies shouldn't be helped. So that's the assumption. Acha ji. I think everyone is now ready with the understanding that what exactly we are talking about here. What are the type of the questions you will see in these things? This is from the last class of mine. I'll just go through it, okay? Another type. What are the types of questions you will have? You will have the questions like Ashna, I'm not able to understand the question. I'm giving you an audio option. I'm not understanding what you're saying. Too. Yes, Ashna.
Hi. So I was just.
Yeah, can you be somewhat loud?
Can you hear me now?
Anji, Anji.
Yeah. So in both the cases, we are not doing what we are supposed to be doing. So that's sort of contradicting of what actually should be done. So is there a term or a situational like term for this thing as well? Like supposedly the person is drunk, so he's supposed to be helped, but he doesn't because we have made an assumption and we've made an inference based on that assumption. And in
No,
this
see,
other cases,
Acha, okay. See, the two aspects to a discussion. Okay, one thing is the ethical point for my life. In life, what the word you used was suppose. You are supposed to help. In CR, when we are talking about, when I'm talking, see, I'm not teaching you the ethics part. I'm not teaching the moral part. What exactly I'm teaching you is an IQ. When I say assumption, what does that mean? This has nothing to do with what I'm supposed to do. Well, the point what I was trying to say was, even in the CR, premises can be a false statement. I'll give an example to you. It can be like, India is not a democratic country. It can be a premise. So, what I am supposed to do is I am going to believe it and I am going to answer the whole CR based upon that premise. That's why, very good point. I'll bring it here. I'll bring one point to you. Let's say, अच्छा now, IQ test में, let's say, what is the name? Ashna. Ashna is a science student. And Ashna gets to see कि RCS में साइंस के पैसेजेस आए हुए हैं. मान लेते हैं कि 2 passages are from science and 2 passages are from arts. Now, as a part of strategy, what Ashna should do? And there is a point in most of the IQ tests, you will only have time to do only 2 passages. Okay. If you're doing, let me give an example in GMAT, even in the CAT, and even in CUET. I'll give an example of this CAT even. Even if you are able to do it 2 passages very correctly, you would be into the 99 percentile. Achha, now coming back to the point. The point I'm just trying to make is, if Ashna is a science student, and if Ashna gets 2 science and 2 arts passages, what Ashna should choose to try? In every IQ test, the selection of a passage will take your half of the strategy, will take half of your challenge away. If you are choosing the right passage or a right question. So what I am coming to is, because actually Ashna brought it, if you are given a choice of a familiar passage and let's say unfamiliar passage, what you will choose? And believe me, what exactly happens is people will always go with familiar, and that's the biggest mistake you can make. Now, why familiar is a big mistake? Reason being, your past knowledge will cloud your decisions. It's better to go for arts because you will move into it with neutral mind. Am I making sense to you? What exactly happens in every IQ test is your past knowledge, just like the question Ashna asked. The Ashna question was, and she used the word of suppose. We are supposed to do that. What exactly is happening is your past knowledge, your knowledge which you're getting every day, and your education and your upbringings has already given your mind so much things. Then when you read a passage, you have already clouded with so many things coming in between, whether it is correct, wrong, blah, blah, blah. But believe me, if you're going into the IQ test, believe me, Your world is that passage, that words, that's the ultimate truth. That's it. Whatever it might be, there is nothing called suppose, no ethics, no morals, nothing. That passage is my moral, that passage is my Bible. Okay. So the point what I was trying to make was, if you have a familiar passage, your challenge will double actually. So I'm not saying that familiar passages shouldn't be taken or familiar questions shouldn't be taken. That's not the point I'm making. I'm just trying to make you a base I am giving, that when you're moving into any questions, your past knowledge or your what are the educations you had, Mr. Rajit is coming now. Okay, will actually cloud your decisions. So there is nothing called suppose, nothing like that. Okay, coming back to the point I was making. What exactly the point I was making? So basically, basically assumption is a premise of a reader, not basically right or wrong. Correct. Just based on the paragraph, and we have to focus on para more than the other knowledge. Very good. Acha, now coming to this thing, what are the type of the questions? One type of the questions will be the summary and the main idea. If I'll say this is a paraphrase, are you understanding what I'm saying? Very good. Is everyone able to understand it? There are so many students, I want everyone to answer. Very good. Good. Yeah. So I'm giving just a minute. What's your name, sir? Okay, I'm giving you the audio. अब इतने सारों में से किस कहाँ से निकालूं?
Hello, sir, am I audible?
Yes, I think I've given the audio rights to you. Am I correct? Yes. What was the question?
Sir, in a particular example, I have a doubt regarding the assumption and the inference part. For example, if the statement is a person over 18 years is eligible to vote.
The statement is a person over 18 years is eligible to vote. Correct.
So the inference can be like the minimum voting age is 18 years.
See, what is the statement here?
I said the statement is a person over 18 years of age is eligible to vote.
That's a premise. Okay.
So, like, I'm not able to understand like what is the assumption and inference over here.
Achha, okay. See, okay. When you're in the argument, even when I'll move further, I'll put you into the steps of doing SER. In that step, I'll be talking about one thing called structure. Let me पहले बता देता हूँ what's the point. एक चीज आएगी, स्ट्रक्चर बोलेंगे उसे. जब सबसे पहला स्टेप सीआर में होता है, वो होता है टू अंडरस्टैंड वेदर इट इज एन आर्ग्यूमेंट or it is a fact-based passage, whatever the thing you're saying. The second thing, what we talk about, so there's one Mr. who asked, what is the name of the person who just talked to me? What is the name of the guy? Hardik, okay. Hardik, एक चीज होता है स्ट्रक्चर होता है थिंग. What does structure means? When I divide, the argument is a mixture. Okay. So when I put it into different things like assumption, conclusion, premise, inference, then I'm making a structure of the argument. अभी जो आपने बात बोला था ना 18 years वाला, that is a premise, fact. It is not an inference. It is not even a. अच्छा, मैं उस पे आपको ऐड करता हूँ. Hardik said, the people above 18 years are only eligible to vote. He said that. So that's a premise. Now, I will say, and that's why the percentage of voting in Delhi in the last election was very less. So wait, what is the assumption here? Should I repeat it? Hardik said, So let's welcome Mr. Manas, who has come after the half of the class is over. Rather, I'm going to close, I think, in some time. Where I was. Acha, okay. The point was, Hardik said, the people of 18 years eligible to vote. That's why the percentage, most people are below 18 in Delhi. So there is one cause and one is effect. So the point, what the point has made is, एक premise के base पे inference हुआ, inference के base पे assumption हुआ. But here, even I'm assuming that everyone in Delhi votes. That's why I'm saying the most people are below 18. Making sense to you? Is everyone able to understand what we are talking about? अच्छा, now इस बात पे एक और चीज मैं आपको समझाना चाहता हूँ. Everyone understands Hindi here in the class? Anyone from the south? Okay, so Mr. Kuntal, do you understand in Hindi? Okay, so Kuntal might be from Hyderabad, I think. Hyderabad people understand. अच्छा, now मैं इसे हटा रहा हूँ to make you one more point, which I think Calcutta. Okay, Calcutta is a very beautiful city, and I think food is the. I love Calcutta. Achha, now coming back to the main point, I always say to my students that अगर आपने critical reasoning देख बोल के पढ़ा ना तो आपको समझ नहीं आएगी. Always call it analytical critical reasoning. Use the word analytical. Why I am saying it? What is the difference between when I say analytical reading? What does it mean? Analytical. I am going to analytically read a passage. Anything which is analytical is associated with numbers. And what is the quality of numbers? In English, if I'll say Kuntal is taller than me, do you know how much taller is Kuntal? So you can have a subjective understanding of the words, but numbers are unique. Their position in the graph is unique. And the most important quality they have is it is discrete. It is, Hardik is saying 10 years older. Who is 10 years older? I am 20 years old. Okay. No, I'm around 40. Okay. After coming back to the points. Where I was, the numbers are discrete, and second quality is they are distinct. So these two qualities make other things which we call it as numbers. So if I'm able to divide the passages into discrete and distinct entities, I'll call it analytical work. So what exactly means? An argument है mixture of XYZ things. मैं इस mixture को assumptions में divide करूंगा, conclusion में divide करूंगा, मैं इसको inference में divide करूंगा, और मैं इसको premise में divide करूंगा. अगर मैं ये नहीं कर पाया तो I'll not be able to answer any CR question. So I always call the critical reasoning as analytical critical reasoning, because what I'm exactly doing is I'm doing an analytical work where I'm dividing the mixture or a subjective a passage into different components, and till the time I'm doing that, I'll not be able to answer a single question. I will give an example to you. इसका मीनिंग क्या है? एक्चुअली बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, मैं ये अभी मैं जंप कर रहा हूँ. मैं आई एम कमिंग स्ट्रेट अवे टेकिंग यू टू ए क्वेश्चन. Why I'm taking you to a question is, till that time you will understand. Just a minute, sir. Is everyone able to read it? Okay. Just a moment. Now people are able to read it. Very good. सबके आंखें बहुत अच्छे हैं. Okay. ये है passage. Now, here will come a very important point. Till the time you would be able to understand the various components of the passage, you would not be able to answer this question. So, an analytical work in the passage will only be making me able to answer it. I'll give these are the basically structure of a CR. इसमें ये इसे कहते हैं स्टिमुलस. क्या होता है स्टिमुलस? नॉर्मल लैंग्वेज में स्टिमुलस क्या बोलते हैं भाई? व्हाट डज स्टिमुलस मीन्स? अरे इतने लोग हैं, बोलो जल्दी. वेरी गुड. ट्रिगर. अमिया सिंह. I think Amir Singh likes guns. Okay. So stimulus. What is the plural of stimulus? Very good. Stimuli. Yes. Acha now. This part is called stimulus. Matlab the right word Amir has used is trigger. This word is question stem. These are the answers. Okay. So Kavya Vishwanath is coming right now in the class, and we will all welcome the lady with the clappings. Acha now. Read the stimulus. I'll read it for you. People have noticed physiological abnormalities in eel that are immediately downstream of leather mills. मतलब leather mills के पास में downstream जब जाता है तो वहां पे eel is a kind of a fresh water fish होता है, लेकिन मतलब marine में भी वो exist कर सकता है. One possible cause is pyroxene, which leather mills release daily and which can alter the concentration of hormones in eel. However, pyroxene is unlikely to be the cause, since the eel recover normal hormone concentration relatively quickly during occasional mill shutdown, and pyroxene decomposes very slowly in the environment. Now, the question: which of the following statement, if true, most seriously weakens the argument? तो मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन तो आपसे यही है, weaken what? हाँ जी बोलो, इतने सारे लोग बैठे हो. अच्छा 10 बज रहे हैं. That's why most of the people must be right now, you know, after dinner they would be planning to, you know, going for a sleep or anything. Don't jump to answers. Listen to my question first. Question आप सुनिए पहले. The question is, weaken करना क्या है? Argument में which part has to be weakened? Good try. Try once more. Alan, Ayush, Alan, Joji, and everyone, please listen to the question. I am not looking at the answer. Till the time conclusion को, हाँ अक्षय ने आंसर दिया है. Conclusion को weaken करना है. Conclusion क्या है जी अक्षय जी? मैं आप सबको ऑडियो राइट देता हूँ. Let's have a discussion. आप सबके पास राइट्स हैं ऑडियो के ना? Anyone who can tell me what is the conclusion है?
Sir, conclusion is merely what the paragraph wants to say, want to convince us.
अच्छा, thanks for teaching me, sir. The question was, आप इसमें बताइए conclusion क्या है?
Could that be that pyroxene is unlikely to be the cause? That is the conclusion, because eventually.
Very good. Very good. So the conclusion is pyroxene is unlikely to be the cause. So we have to weaken this conclusion. So if I'm weakening it, what exactly I would be doing?
Making it a cause.
Good. So everyone now jump in. You all have audio rights. So anyone who is comfortable or confident of speaking, they can. So what, let's say I'm reading all the statements to you. You have to tell me, can it be an answer? Why I have to read all the questions? Why I have to read all the answers? Because in CR, or rather in every IQ test, there is nothing called right and wrong. It can happen that everything is right, and it can even happen that all the answers are wrong. It can happen. So what exactly we are doing here? We are doing the most correct answer. Situation can be all the answers are wrong, and I'm going to find the best option out of it. And even one more thing can happen, that all the answers are correct. I'm going to choose the best out of it. So I'm going to read everything. So statement number A. Some studies that show that he'll recover quickly during shutdowns were funded by leather manufacturers. Does it weaken the argument? Bolo. Very good. And I would not only like to say no, yes, no, nothing. So a lot of messages, yes and no. Why? What exactly is wrong with the statement? Yes, no, मतलब सभी आंसर कर दे ठक 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 ठक. When I asked him what is the reason, so now everyone is in the meditation mudra.
We don't have any sort of premise over there in the paragraph or the stimulus that we have. So can that be the
No, but if the leather manufacturers are giving funding to these, so it can have any kind of a thing. If the one word which actually takes the whole argument, whole sting of this answer away. What is that word? अच्छी तरह रीड करो. एक वर्ड है बैड. एलन जोजी. You're wrong. One more wrong. There's a one word. Let me answer you.
So
Okay. Let me come back to one more important point. Actually, यार इतना वास्ट है कि मुझे हर पॉइंट पे कोई स्टोरी याद आ गई. तो एक और पॉइंट बता दो. देखो, अगर कोई भी आईक्यू टेस्ट को प्लान करेगा ना, मान लेते हैं आप ही प्लान करते हैं. इफ आई हैव टू मेक एनी थिंग, व्हाट आई विल डू, you cursor is अच्छा, now I'll put it here only. I will always use one of the very important thing in any of the IQ tests is the use of the words like most. ये बहुत खतरनाक वर्ड है. Some, least, except. ये एक्सेप्ट का क्वेश्चन देख के मैं काफी बार कैट जीमेट देता हूँ और CUET एंड ऑल. ये क्वेश्चन के जब मैं वर्ड देखता हूँ ना, तो मतलब मेरे अलार्म बेल्स हो जाते हैं. मतलब आई स्टार्ट पैनिक. रीजन बीइंग, एक्सेप्ट वर्ड विल एक्चुअली टोटल टॉपल कर देता है वो पूरी बात को. मतलब जैसे ग्लास को उल्टा कर देता है. ओके, सो ये वर्ड्स हमेशा यूज होता है, and that changes the whole meaning of the thing. So most, some, least, except, these type of things are very usually used. And one of the next very important strategy which any IQ test will use is jugglery of words, phrases, and clauses. वो एक ही चीज को 4-5 तरह से पुट करता. मतलब यू अंडरस्टैंड ना, सेंटेंसेस में एक सेंटेंस होता है कंपाउंड सेंटेंस. एक सेंटेंस होता है कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस. कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस में होते हैं मॉडिफायर्स. हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट ऑल दीज टर्म्स? ये पहली बार सुन रहे हो, पहले भी सुनना है. मॉडिफायर्स, नाउन मॉडिफायर, वर्ब मॉडिफायर, सब सो गए क्या? मतलब इतने सारे बच्चे हैं और सभी के सभी चुप हो जाते हैं.
No,
बोलो बोलो. आई डिडंट हियर यू.
haven't heard before.
इसमें क्या चीज नहीं सुनना है? कॉम्प्लेक्स में दोनों में?
No, the words we have heard, but not in this context in terms of sentences. That way.
No. The point I'm making is when I say complex sentence, do you know what I mean? This was in the grammar set, 6th and 7th standard. So do you know what it is? If I say verb modifier, noun modifier, do you understand what I'm saying? Anyone who understands this? Difficult to understand. So Mr. Kuntal, can you speak? Do you have an audio rights?
Yeah, it's
Nirupam Kant, you can
statement.
also speak.
Statement.
You understand. So Mr. Kuntal will explain what is the difference between a phrase and a clause.
What is the third one?
Clause. CLAUSE. इसमें ऐसे दिख रहा होगा. Clause. अच्छा ठीक है. ठीक है. अच्छा, anyone understand what is a noun modifier and a verb modifier? If I'll say Nirupam Kant, comma, who lives in Delhi, comma, is very good in critical reasoning. So what modifier are used? Noun or a verb? अब ये मत कहना कि आपको पता नहीं है noun और verb क्या होता है.
It's a noun.
Very good. So that's a noun modifier. Very good. तो हमने कहीं तो हम पहुंच रहे हैं. अच्छा, now coming back to the point, what I was saying was, so in IQ test, the use of whenever you're looking at any words like most, some, least, except, समझ लो कुछ प्रॉब्लम होने वाला. सेकंड, जगलरी ऑफ वर्ड्स, फ्रेजेस, क्लॉजेस होता है. उसका मीनिंग चेंज हो जाता है पूरा. कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस वो होता है जिसमें पार्ट्स होते हैं, फ्रेजेस, क्लॉजेस होते हैं. जैसे कि एक पार्ट, कोमा, एक और पार्ट, कोमा, एक और पार्ट. कंपाउंड वो होता है जिसमें हम कंजंक्शंस को यूज करते हैं. कंजंक्शन क्या होता है जी? व्हाट इज अ कंजंक्शन?
सर जो कनेक्ट करता है.
Connect.
वेरी गुड. जो कनेक्ट करता है. ये तो अच्छा हुआ, मतलब कोई भी कनेक्ट करता है हम उसे कंजंक्शन बोल देंगे. कनेक्टर्स मींस एंड, और ये ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, बट एटसेट्रा. वेरी गुड. आई एम मेकिंग जोक्स, ओके? तो थोड़ा सा वो सीरियसली मत लिया करो. मैं आई यूजुअली कीप द टोन्स वेरी इन ए कॉमेडी एंड फन पार्ट. अच्छा, नाउ आई एम कंप्लीटिंग इट. 10 o'clock हो गया मेरा सेकंड क्लास. I'm coming to the second point now. The rate at which pyroxene decomposes varies depending on the conditions to which it is exposed. The rate at which pyroxene decomposes. Does it weaken the argument? अगर pyroxene 1 ml या 2 ml एक डे में होता है, या घंटे में होता है, या मिनट में होता है, does it?
No.
Very good. Who said no? Very good. Whoever said no. Full marks to that person. Now coming to the third part. Actually, अब मुझे थोड़ा जल्दी करना होगा. I have one more class after this. C part. Normal river currents carry the pyroxene present in the river far downstream in the few hours. दूर ले जाता है वो few hours में. Does it weakens? चलो इसको रिजर्व पे रखते हैं. Some of the yield did not. हम जब भी IQ टेस्ट में देखते हैं क्वेश्चंस में, आप हमेशा ना 2-3 का स्प्लिट देखते हैं. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? या 2 में आंसर होता है या 3 में आंसर होता है. स्प्लिट होता है पूरा, मीनिंग्स में भी स्प्लिट होता है. तो जब भी हम एक एक करो ना, आप एक क्या काम करते रहो, उसके आगे ना एक सिंबल लगाते जाओ. नेगेटिव, नेगेटिव, पॉजिटिव. पॉजिटिव मतलब ये मेरा फ्रेंड, नेगेटिव मतलब ये मेरा एनिमी. अच्छा जी. Some of the yield does not recovery on the changes that were induced by the changes in the hormone concentration. Does it weakens? It doesn't. The connection between hormone concentration and the dash abnormality is not fully understood. irrelevant point है, क्या मतलब है इसका? So this is the answer. Making sense to you? इससे देखो, इससे अटैच करो. Eel recover normal hormone concentration relatively quickly during occasional meal shutdowns. And इसको अटैच करो. Carry the praxin. वो ले जाता है दूर, तो वो रिकवर कर जाते हैं. In spite of the fact, अगर वो डिकम्पोज praxin स्लो भी करता है, तो पानी नहीं रहता वहां पे. Praxin actually goes downstream and moves away from the eel. So the point I was trying to come in, the main thing what I was trying to say was, number one, until unless you are analytically able to differentiate or separate the mixture into different components, you would not be able to answer any CR question. First. Number two, the use of the words like most, some, least, and blah blah, except. And how to use see a jugglery of words, even when you know whenever a person reads any passage, one of the very important strategy which is usually pushed by the teachers like me. There are two kind of teachers you will see. One teacher will say, आप पहले क्वेश्चन पढ़िए फिर पैसेज पे जाइए. आपके बहुत टीचर्स बोलते होंगे ऐसे. अगर आप रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशंस कर रहे हैं या क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग कर रहे हैं, लोग क्या कहते हैं, पहले क्वेश्चन पढ़ लो और फिर पैसेज पे जाना. उससे क्या होता है कि यू नो द आंसर, you will search for the answer. But I am a kind of a teacher, and what I believe is, if you are reading a passage with any kind of a baggage, it will actually hamper your understanding. And this whole IQ test is only about one thing, and that word is understanding. यही IQ है सर जी, और कुछ नहीं IQ. IQ टेस्ट हमेशा आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग चेक करता है, ना ही वो रीडिंग करता है, ना वोकैबुलरी करता है, ना आपकी ग्रामर करता है, ना उसे मतलब है कि अलेक्जेंडर कौन था, ना उसे मतलब है शेक्सपियर कौन था. नो वन वांट्स यू टू नो दैट. यू आर गोइंग टू बी ए मैनेजर, यू माइट बी ए CEO, एंड यू विल कम विद ए प्रॉब्लम. हर रोज नया आएगा. You will have n number of data in front of you. So what is the competency people are looking at? Understanding इतने सारे डेटा में मैं कौन सा पार्ट समझूं कि ये मुझे अंडरस्टैंड करना है, ये इंपॉर्टेंट रेलेवेंट है. और वो उस पूरे चीजों को इतनी जगलरी, इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स, किसने स्ट्राइक कर दिया, उसने वो कर दिया, उसने ये कर दिया, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग नीचे चला गया, इस समय साउथ का इतना मार्केटिंग चल रहा है, इतना बजट वो चल रहा है, इतनी इंफॉर्मेशन के बाद भी एक CEO विल टेक ए डिसीजन वेरी क्विकली. दे विल से इसको निकाल दो या इसको रख लो. Why they take such decision? Because that is a understanding the situation very well. And the same thing you are doing. आपको भी इसी चीज के लिए चेक किया जा रहा है, इस चीज के लिए नहीं चेक कर रहे कि देखो अक्षय या हार्दिक कितने अच्छे हैं इंग्लिश में, देखो इनको PhD है, नोबेल प्राइज है इंग्लिश में. They are not concerned with that. They are concerned with the people who at that time, without any understanding of the situation, will understand the situation. Whatever the things in front of them, they are able to take out. They will be analyzing the whole thing analytically, taking out the chunks out of it, and they would be able to make out ये problem है, ये work करना है, इसको weaken करना है, इसको मुझे strengthen करना है. ये understanding का test है. तो understanding का test हमेशा कभी भी आपको कोई और चीज में टेस्ट नहीं करेगा. मैं ये बार क्यों बोल रहा हूँ? Until unless you will know what is the perspective, आपको क्लियर नहीं होगा, आपको पता ही नहीं होगा करना क्या है. आप हमेशा ऐसी बात, आपका पर्सपेक्टिव, द वे ऑफ लुकिंग एट ए थिंग चेंजेस इफ यू नो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज एक्सपेक्टेड ऑफ यू. वो IQ टेस्ट चेक क्या कर रहा है. तो अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए आपको एनालिटिकली डिफरेंशिएट करना है और फिर उसको हिट करना है. इट विल बिकम, जो आपको ये पैसेज दिख रहा है, यू विल से, मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ कितना टाइम लग जाएगा, पीपल विल से 30 सर 1 मिनट 2 मिनट. ये असली में 10 सेकेंड 20 सेकेंड्स में आराम से आंसर किया जा सकता है. इफ यू नो दैट, या कुंतल, यू कैन स्पीक, यू डोंट हैव टू रेज हैंड, यू कैन स्पीक, यू आर फ्री टू यू से एनीथिंग.
Sir, one confusion. Isn't option D strengthening the second sentence in the passage like it's mentioning that some of the ill did not recover rapidly from the psychological.
Now, this is a very, Mr. Kuntal, thank you. Thanks for asking this question. Actually, you have taken me to one more point. This is a very good example of, am I, just like the first question I asked was, what we are weakening. So we are weakening the conclusion. So when I say conclusion, what is the conclusion? Now, just see, if I move in steps, it becomes so easy for me to answer. Because I know this is a conclusion, that Praxin is unlikely to be the cause. And I'm going to read everything which only gives, if Mr. Kuntal, the person who asked right now, if you are looking at the passage and read everything you're trying to weaken, then you have lost your plot actually. We are not weakening anything else except one thing, and that is conclusion. And conclusion is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 words. Praxin is unlikely to be the cause. That's it. What I'm saying is, that's what analytical reading is. If you know the components, you would be very much knowing, ये मेरा target है, मुझे इसको hit करना है. That's it. बाकी सब गिर जाएंगे वैसे. That's what is expected from me. I'm not here to kill or weaken each and every statement here. What is expected from me is weakening one statement. अच्छा now, good night to everyone. हम बहुत रात हो गया, मुझे one more class I have. Chalo, we'll actually continue one beyond it. I had a lot of data with me, but we were not able to do it. Okay, chaliye, bye bye. Good night. Bye. Thank you. Thanks for coming.